Belgian, Briton and Canadian, all naturalized Congolese. And a vibrant artwork and powerful solo drama Iloya unfolded on stage in Nigeria, shedding light on the realities people face while pursuing their dreams and how they make peace with the outcomes. That's this week on World of Africa at these times on WION World is One.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I actually pushed myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Hello and welcome. You're watching WION World is One with me, Ananya Datta. We have some breaking news coming in. Hezbollah's leader Hassan Nasrallah is delivering a televised speech as we speak in the wake of the successive waves of unprecedented pager and walkie-talkie explosions that killed at least 32 people and injured thousands over the last 2 days. Now, the Hezbollah chief has categorically blamed Israel for the consecutive blasts across Lebanon, calling the attacks a quote-unquote massacre and an act of war. The group's chief said that Israel has crossed all red lines. Nasrallah also referred to Tuesday and Wednesday as dark days in Lebanese history. Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah's briefing comes exactly 24 hours after we started receiving news of walkie-talkies blasting across stronghold regions of Hezbollah in Lebanon. Remember, it was right here at 8 p.m. IST when we reported that we were getting news reports of walkie-talkies blasting across Beirut especially. Also, we are being told as the address is taking place, Reuters is reporting that jets are being heard flying over the capital of Lebanon, that's Beirut. For those of you who are just joining in, Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah is holding a briefing as we speak. He has called the blast that occurred on Tuesday and Wednesday as terrorist attack and a quote-unquote massacre. Nasrallah also claimed that Israelis wanted to kill 5,000 people in just 2 minutes. The Hezbollah chief asserted that the Israeli attacks are a declaration of war, while stating that Israel had targeted the civilian population by targeting devices used by the medical staffers, civilians as well. Nasrallah said that the Israeli army had turned a blind eye to the indiscriminate damage that injured thousands of people. He added that a majority of injuries suffered in the attacks were minors. Let's shift our focus now. Less than 48 hours to go for presidential elections in Sri Lanka. Campaigning ended last night, and as the silent period starts, anticipation grows over what's to come for the island nation. It is the first elections, remember, after Sri Lanka's 2022 economic and social collapse. Here's a report by correspondent Dasunia Thauda from Colombo.
With the silence period coming into effect in Sri Lanka, voters are given a final 48 hours to reflect and look back on their candidates' manifestos and policies before they head into polls on Saturday, the 21st of September, to elect the country's next president. This is undoubtedly a unique election here in the island nation, provided that there is a highly likely possibility of no candidate garnering a 50% majority, which means this is an election that will be closely fought by all top candidates. Stay with WION as we bring you the very latest. Reporting from Colombo, I'm Dasunia Thauda.
And as our correspondent also rightly mentioned, Sri Lanka is bracing for an election like never before. A record number of candidates on the ballot make this a more competitive electoral battle than ever. My colleague Dharamjot Kaur gets your report on who are Sri Lanka's top presidential candidates.
As Sri Lanka heads to elections, voters have a comprehensive list of 38 presidential candidates to choose from. The island nation is witnessing a multi-party contest, but only a few have a fighting chance in an election that has no clear frontrunner. The incumbent Ranil Wickremesinghe is seeking a re-election after he took over a broken nation 2 years ago. Wickremesinghe served as Sri Lanka's Prime Minister a record 6 times in the past. But ahead of the polls, the leader of the United National Party failed to rally support from the SLPP. Instead, he found backing from more than 90 independent parliamentarians. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa is another key candidate in the presidential elections. Son of assassinated former President and Prime Minister Ranasinghe Premadasa, Sajith is seen as a front-runner for the September 21 polls. Premadasa leads the SJB party that broke its alliance with Wickremesinghe's UNP in 2019. The third key candidate in the race is Anura Kumara Dissanayake. Leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, the 55-year-old is contesting as a National People's Power Coalition candidate. The NPP has only 3 seats in the country's parliament, but it rose to prominence after the 2022 mass protests. The largest party in the Sri Lanka parliament, the SLPP, has fielded a candidate in Namal Rajapaksa, son of former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Nobody, including the party, expects him to win. But experts say Namal Rajapaksa's run in the upcoming election might help establish him as an heir of the Rajapaksa brothers' legacy after the political family's fall from grace following the 2022 economic meltdown. Now, the rules require a candidate to secure a minimum of 50% majority vote. But other presidential candidates representing community-specific interests hold the power to turn this into an unprecedented election by increasing the possibility of a preferential vote count to narrow down on a winner. But if there's one thing that all top candidates have in common, it's the promise of a bailout plan for Sri Lanka's broken economy that hit rock bottom in 2022. The road to recovery, though positive, has been long and slow. The big question here is, who has promised or done enough to inherit Sri Lanka's financial crisis and turn around the island nation's fortunes?
Now, what does politics mean to the youth of today? At a time when the Gen Z is busy calling themselves apolitical or not interested in politics, can elections change that sentiment? In Sri Lanka, it can. The same women and men who took to the streets in 2022 are going to vote this year. So politics is personal to them. The question is, Are politicians listening? The 2022 protests in Sri Lanka were a turning point. It was the biggest economic crisis since the country's independence, the effects of which are felt even today. The protests started over basic issues: long power cuts, fuel shortage, high prices of food and scarcity of medicine. But it soon morphed into a countrywide movement that managed to unite people from different ethnicities, religions, generations for the very first time in Sri Lanka. The Rajapaksa brothers tried to brand it as organized extremists, but the vocal youth on the streets did not let it work. Then came the fateful day of 13th July 2022. Young men splashing around in a pool inside the presidential palace. Others jumping on the president's bed. Some Sri Lankans danced on the streets and played festive tunes. These scenes beamed across the world, marking the end of the 17-year rule of the Rajapaksas and the flight of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa from the country. The protest was named Aragalaya, the Sinhalese word for struggle. But has the struggle ended in Sri Lanka? The youth is staring at the question as this Saturday's election approaches.
I'm voting because our people are helpless, and I believe after elections there would be better governance in the country. All we want is to be happy. No, the people are not happy. The cost of goods is too high. Taxes are also unbearable. All we want is for the cost of living and taxes to be reduced, so we won't be struggling as much.
Youth make up almost a quarter of Sri Lanka's population. This year, among the 17 million eligible voters, the youth has been represented well, with an estimated 1 million of them being first-time voters. Unemployment among the youth is the highest among all age groups. So if 2022 was about raising demands, 2024 is about who is listening to them. Many have found a leader in Marxist-leaning Anura Kumara Dissanayake, but not everyone is convinced of change, not even those running for this election.
One of the so-called main political parties are pledged or willing to continue the objective of the Aragalaya or accomplish the objective of the Aragalaya. So therefore, even after the election, whoever wins, the so-called mainstream political parties, nothing will be changed in the society. There will not be a system change. It's very clear.
Clearly, a lot is at stake this Saturday, especially for the youth. The privileged few have left the country, but those left behind expect accountability and action. Bureau Report, WION, World is One. Let's shift focus to US now. With each passing day, the election drama in the country is scaling new heights. The FBI has made new revelations in a case relating to election interference, and it involves Iran. American intelligence and security agency FBI has claimed that Iranian hackers sent Donald Trump's campaign information to the Joe Biden camp. As per the revelations, the hackers sent a slew of unsolicited emails to officials who were part of then Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden. However, the FBI has clarified that there is no indication of any response from the Biden camp to the said emails. The FBI statement comes amid ongoing investigation into a complaint filed by Trump's presidential campaign back in August. The Red Camp officials claim that Iran hacked and distributed a stockpile of sensitive campaign documents. Our correspondent Teran is joining us live from New York on this story. Susan, good to see you. What is the latest you have for us on this?
Yeah, as you mentioned, this was the Biden-Harris campaign who didn't pay much attention to these emails. They saw it as spam or a phishing attempt, first and foremost, and they disregarded it right away. The Trump camp, however, said that this is an indication that Iran, after the FBI confirmed that Iran was behind the hack, that it was an indication that Iran does not want Donald Trump to become president, as Iran prefers the Biden-Harris camp. At that point, it was Biden who was running. Also, it's important to note that several media outlets also received similar leaks, but they did not air them, they did not report them, because, again, it appeared that, first of all, they were suspicious, and then it was an indication from the FBI later on, a warning that Iran could be behind this. What's interesting is it was a dossier about J.D. Vance. The Iranian mission to the UN has outright denied these allegations against their country. And, looking back, it really brings up, again, those conversations about foreign interference and hacking that was so prevalent in 2016. FBI officials are saying they're seeing similar patterns this year as well.
Absolutely. It does raise very important questions. Susan, thank you so much for joining us and with those updates. All right, with about a month and a half left for U.S. presidential elections, lawmakers are racing against time to plug possible electoral loopholes. The U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee questioned tech executives of 3 of the biggest technology companies regarding their preparedness in battling foreign disinformation threats. Google's parent company Alphabet's Global Affairs President Kent Walker, Microsoft President Brad Smith, and Meta's Global Affairs President Nick Clegg attended the Senate hearing. Conspicuous by his absence was the owner and executive chairperson of X, formerly Twitter, Elon Musk, who several senators claimed declined to testify. The reason cited by X was that the invited witness, former head of Global Affairs, had resigned earlier this month. TikTok, on the other hand, was not asked to participate. Meanwhile, both the senators and the executives agreed that the 48 hours around Election Day is the most vulnerable time. At the hearing, Microsoft President Brad Smith said, and I'm quoting, "There is a potential moment of peril ahead. Today, we are 48 days away from the election. The most perilous moment will come, I think, 48 hours before the election." Meanwhile, Senator Mark Warner, who chairs the panel, said that 48 hours after the polls close is also equally, if not more, significant. The senators also pointed to tactics revealed in a U.S. crackdown on alleged Russian influence efforts earlier this month, wherein several fake websites were made to look like real U.S. news organizations, including Fox News and the Washington Post. Senator Warner has requested the tech companies to share data by next week on how many Americans viewed the content and how many advertisements ran to promote it. Tech companies have largely embraced labeling and watermarking AI-generated content, but the big question is, will it be enough to deal with the frightening level of interference? The 2024 US elections will prove to be just the litmus test when it comes to artificial intelligence technology and its impact on politics, whether that be by social media or by arch rivals Iran and Russia. Shifting focus now, Venezuela's election mandate is still creating waves almost 7 weeks after polls were held. In a dramatic turn of events, self-exiled opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez has claimed that he was forced to sign a letter accepting incumbent President Nicolas Maduro's victory. Now, Gonzalez has accused the Venezuelan government of forcing him to sign a document at the Spanish ambassador's residence in Caracas. He said that he was told that admitting defeat was the only way he would be allowed to leave the country.
There were very tense hours of coercion, blackmail and pressure. At those moments, I considered that I could be more useful, free than in jail, unable to fulfill the tasks entrusted to me by the sovereign. A document produced under coercion is vitiated by absolute nullity, due to a serious defect in consent.
The Venezuelan government has refuted these allegations and said that Gonzalez signed the letter willingly. A senior ruling party leader helped up the document and photographs at a press conference. Jorge Rodriguez questioned the statement by Gonzalez as the leader's family continues to live in Venezuela, even though he exiled himself to Spain.
¿Cómo es que una de sus hijas todavía vive en Venezuela, tranquilamente?
If you sign under pressure, how is it that one of your daughters still lives in Venezuela peacefully with her family? As regular Venezuelans can think in one way or another, and all of them have a place in the territory of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Here, there is no place for violence or fascism, but a citizen does. Then, if we are the savage coercers, you are doing the same as Guaido did, who said all that but left his wife and family here when he fled like a dog for Colombia. Lies are hard to hide, as you see Mr. Gonzalez Urrutia.
Entonces,
amid all the drama, Spain has distanced itself from these allegations. The country that granted political asylum to Gonzalez has denied involvement in the alleged negotiations between Venezuela's opposition leader and Maduro's government. A day after the first phase of the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly election, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a public rally in Jammu and Kashmir, praising the large voter turnout. He said his party, the BJP, is committed to fulfilling its promise to Jammu and Kashmir's statehood. Targeting the earlier governments, the Prime Minister claimed that political parties such as the Congress, National Conference and PDP sympathize with stone pelters and terrorists. He added that it was time to sincerely work towards restoring peace and provide a better environment for the Kashmiri youth.
और पीढ़ी को, एक और नस्ल को इन तीन खानदानों के हाथों में तबाह नहीं होने दूंगा। इसलिए यहां अमन की बहाली के लिए मैं पूरी ईमानदारी से जुटा हूं। आज देखिए, पूरे जम्मू कश्मीर में स्कूल, कॉलेज आराम से चल रहे हैं।
Local residents who attended the rally hailed the Prime Minister's vision for the people of Kashmir and the future. They also lashed out at earlier governments in Jammu and Kashmir.
हमें उन्हें देखकर बहुत खुशी हुई और उन्होंने जो बातें की हमारे अंदर को ठंडा किया। हम चाहते हैं कि वो आगे ऐसे ही चलता रहे और हमारे बीजेपी की हुकूमत कश्मीर के अंदर बननी चाहिए।
After 2019, when we saw New Kashmir, we were very indebted to Modi ji. That is why he made a union territory here. We are happy being in a union territory. People are living in peace. Today you saw more than 100,000 people turn up. This is only because of Modi's love.
And to get us the latest, our correspondent Idris Lone has more on this.
Hundreds of people had gathered today to listen to Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the cricket stadium in Srinagar. Prime Minister spoke about a lot of developmental issues that have taken place in Jammu and Kashmir in the last 5 years. He also took a dig at the political parties like National Conference, PDP and Congress, saying they are responsible for whatever has happened to Jammu and Kashmir in the last many years. He also, with regard to the election, promised the people of Jammu and Kashmir that the statehood would be restored as soon as the government would be formed in Jammu and Kashmir after the assembly elections. He said, and that is only and only BJP will be able to do that. On the other hand, he also promised free electricity to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. And as you can see, these are the people who had come to listen to Prime Minister Narendra Modi today in Srinagar. The numbers were in thousands, and people from various districts from North and South and Central Kashmir were here to attend the function. With video journalist Feroz, Idris Lone for WION World is One.
Now, humans have waged war for power, resources and riches. But the next big flashpoint in geopolitical tensions could be a commodity that is abundantly available, at least for now. Take a look at our next report to understand what. In a world inching towards a dystopian reality, water is becoming the ultimate battleground. As global temperatures rise and rivers shrink, the notion of water wars is shifting from science fiction to imminent reality. The current crisis isn't just a consequence of nature. It's an orchestrated scarcity that hints at a hidden agenda. Manipulated resources to create artificial shortages. Water is the lifeblood of global economies. It is essential for agriculture, industry and daily life. Yet, over half of the global population faces severe water scarcity at various times of the year. The stakes couldn't be higher. Nations are increasingly clashing over precious water sources. With conflicts like the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam dispute on the Nile and tensions over the Tigris-Euphrates River basin becoming more frequent, the escalating global water crisis has profound implications for everyone. As water becomes scarcer, its cost is likely to soar, impacting not just governments and industries, but ordinary people. Imagine a world where water is so expensive that it rivals the cost of luxury goods, leaving many struggling to afford this basic necessity. Experts warn that the economic fallout will be widespread. Price hikes will hit everything from agricultural produce to everyday needs. Today, it's not just about protecting our current water sources, but also about rethinking how we use and conserve it. As water shortages become more prevalent, the effects will be felt by everyone. When the taps run dry, the cost of inaction today will be painfully clear tomorrow. Business Bureau, WION World is One. And with that, we are wrapping up this edition of Race to Power. Thanks for watching with me and Anya Datta. Goodbye.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
Namaste. Hello, friends. We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018, 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subhash Chandra Show.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
Senegal to vote in snap parliamentary elections in mid-November after President Bassirou Diomaye Faye dissolved the opposition-dominated chamber, a move he's banking on to implement his policy agenda. 3 Americans are among 37 people sentenced to death in the Democratic Republic of Congo over what the army says was a coup attempt. A military court handed the sentences to 37 out of 51 defendants, including a Belgian, Briton, and Canadian, all naturalized Congolese. And a vibrant artwork and powerful solo drama Iloya unfolded on stage in Nigeria, shedding light on the realities people face while pursuing their dreams and how they make peace with the outcomes. That's this week on World of Africa at these times on WION. World is One.